Today, we are joined by a very special guest, Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon, an expert in mindset transformation and financial empowerment. In this episode, we'll explore how shifting your mindset can pave the way for personal and professional growth. Plus, we'll dive into the fascinating ways our upbringing shapes our initial financial outlook. So get comfortable and let's dive deep. Few things are as powerful. What is going on, beautiful people? You are listening to the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast, where we focus on personal growth and cultivating a healthy relationship with ourselves. I am your host, Tyra, the creative, actress, content creator, and mental health enthusiast. And today, you guys, we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Darnyelle, who is joining us on the podcast. Hello.
Hello, Tyra. Hello, Black girls. How y'all doing?
We are doing fine. I'm so excited to jump in and talk with you today, especially about the move to millions. Because when I heard that, I was like, okay, it's about to be my $1 million year. I need to have this
Yes.
conversation and I need to get all of the juicy gossip on how to get my first million. But
Yes.
before we go ahead and jump in, I did want to get into an icebreaker. Are
Okay.
you ready?
I'm
So,
ready.
so have you heard of song association?
I have.
So we're going to do color association. So
Okay.
we're going to each give each other a color and then say the first word or the first thing that comes to mind when we think of that color.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. And we could do like 3 or 4 each.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Orange.
Vibrant.
Ooh, yes.
You want me to go next?
Yes.
Okay. Purple.
My grandma.
Hmm.
Mhm. Um, brown.
Solid.
I see what you did there. I see what you
You
did
see what I
there.
did?
Yeah, I
Like
see
I
what you
just
did there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Blue.
The sky.
Okay.
Let me think of a good color. I'm trying to get out of like the plain colors and try to think of a good one. Gold.
Money.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. That's the way to go.
Hot pink.
Oh gosh. A hot dog. Jesus.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Pink's hot dogs
I
in
have.
LA? That
Mm-hmm.
place. That's the first thing that came
Mm-hmm.
to my mind. Um, Let me go with cognac.
Rich.
Oh yes. Yes, rich,
Mm-hmm.
expensive. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And eggplants.
Oh, Telfar. I have the
Mm.
eggplant. I have the eggplant one, and I just bought
Mm-hmm.
it. It is the first one that came to my mind.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Oh my gosh, that
That
was
was
fun. Yeah,
fun.
that was fun. It's you literally never know like where your brain is gonna go with just by hearing colors.
Right. I want to hear you talk about purple being associated with your grandmother. Like I feel like there's some good little nuggets and success clues all up in there. Purple's my favorite color. So
It's her favorite color. My grandma Gloria, that's her favorite color is purple. When I was growing up, well, and here's the thing, she will also always say, "Like my favorite color is fuchsia." But when I was growing up, I always used to think it was purple. She used to wear this fashion fair lipstick and it was purple.
mhm.
And I
Mhm.
used to just absolutely love it. And I always wanted to be like her. She would be going to work and she would never leave the house without her fuchsia purple
Absolutely.
lipstick. And
Yeah.
every time I think about that, I remember that time.
Yeah, my mom used to wear this color. I think it was Revlon. It was called Black Cherry. And
Ooh.
her whole makeup regimen was this lipstick. So she put it on her lips, she put a dab on each of her cheeks
Oh,
and a dab on
wow.
her forehead. And then she would like rub it in and that would give her her little color. And she was made up and she was ready to go.
Oh my gosh. And that's honestly the way to go, especially like back then we didn't have like all of our different shades and all of this depending on our undertone. So yes, I love
Right.
that.
Yeah. Just to give her a little color.
Yeah. All right, you guys, it is now time for our affirmation of the week, and we are going to let Dr. Darnyelle take it over.
This week's affirmation is I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am blessed. Oh, that feels so good. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am blessed. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am blessed. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am blessed. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am blessed. Oh, that feels so good.
I love how you turned it into a little song. I love that.
Listen, I was like, I got to do a little something with
No,
it.
for real. Yes, I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am blessed.
I am blessed.
Yes. Yes, because we are. We are. And
We
it
are.
definitely takes that mindset to push you forward in that way. If you don't think you healthy, if you don't think you wealthy, if you don't think you blessed, you're going to show up as such. That's what I truly believe.
That is right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you'll have what you say. The things that you speak over yourself are so important. I used to not love affirmations because I would
Mhm.
say these I am statements and then I would look in the mirror or I would look at my bank account and I'd be like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But then someone told me to read the story of Moses. And when I read the story of Moses, it changed affirmations for me. So, the quick version is Moses didn't want to go. He was trying to get God to send someone else to free the children of Israel. And finally, he relented and he said, well, who should I say sent me? And God said, tell him I am that I am sent you. And that it was then that I realized that when we make an I am statement, we are either summoning God's presence or shunning God from us. Because God doesn't want to be associated with something that if we change I am to God is no longer makes sense. And so sometimes the things we speak over ourselves are what I call casual covenants instead of
Mm.
affirmations that bring life. And so, for instance, if you've ever said, I am broke, and
Mhm.
then you change that to God is broke, that doesn't make any sense. God doesn't
Mhm.
want to be associated with that. So you're not actually making an affirmation that will add value to your life. That is what changed it for me. And so now I recite affirmations every day. I decree and declare over my life what it is that I already am because before I was formed in my mother's womb, God knew me and approved me and gave me all the abundance, all the gifts, all the talents that I need to show up and show out in the world. And so I love a good I am statement, which is why
Mhm.
I'm excited that we're all healthy, wealthy, and blessed up in this piece.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I absolutely love that you brought up the story of Moses. And the thing is, the power of life and death is in the tongue, and we know this.
Yes.
And sometimes we let that like leave our brains when we're just saying things like you said, like, "Oh girl, I'm broke. I can't go and do this and all this." And we think that it's just a fleeting thing or a little white lie or whatever the case may be, but no. Casual covenants. I love
Yes.
that. I love
I mean,
that.
think about it this way, like God created the whole universe by speaking. He said, let there be, and there was. So, because we know life and death is in the power of our tongue, when we say things that we don't even mean, we are literally wishing damnation amongst
Yeah.
ourselves. And we are created in God's image and likeness. So
Mhm.
that means the things that we do speak, we can bring into our life experience. So that's
Yeah.
why we have to be careful. That's why I love this show and you focusing on helping Black girls really experience the power of I am so that they can shift and change the trajectory of their life. Is so needed because so many of us have so many places where there's a lot of darkness, and
Mhm.
being able to get the light and come into the light because of you and your work is just phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Yeah, I really and just to piggyback off of that, I really just started this podcast because I too at one point didn't want to sit and say affirmations and stuff, or I felt like it
Yeah.
wasn't working or I wasn't doing it right or whatever the case may be. And then when I actually postured myself as the affirmations that I was saying, that's when I truly began to get confident and say, "Oh wow!" Like I had that little mindset shift, and I was like, "I need to share this with other people." I didn't have this type of resource when I was growing up, and I wanted to be the resource that I did not have. So
Yeah, that's so good. So
thank
good.
you, thank you. You said that you wanted to talk about like mindset shifts that raise your game. But first, I really want you to tell the audience what is Move to Millions and how did you come up with that mission?
Yeah. So 2017, I attended a live event in where was it? It was in Las Vegas. One of my good friends was hosting it. And there was this guy there. His name was Warren Carlisle. And I walked up to him. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I've heard so much about you. The one thing I haven't been able to figure out is what is your movement?" And
Mm,
I looked at him like the deer in the headlights because I'm like, I don't have a movement. I don't know what he's talking about. And I was like, I don't have a movement. He's like, well, a movement is it's a it's a place from which you galvanize and ground people around a common cause or affinity. And I was like, oh, I know what a movement is. I'm just saying I don't have one, right?
mhm,
And from that moment in that conversation, he was like, that will really take your brand to the next level if you get a movement. And so I immediately started to try to pontificate this movement, right? And I've been coming up with stuff and nothing was sticking, nothing was making sense. What I had as my core branding at that particular point in time from a messaging standpoint was great, but it required explanation. And so I just started praying on it. And I was like, God, at the time that is best for me and for my highest good, please tell me what it is you want me to do on the planet. Fast forward, October 22nd, 2020, I was at my own live event, which at the time was called Breakthrough in Business. It was day 3 and as I was getting up and getting ready for the day, I always spend time with God, and during that time he said, "This is the last time you're doing this, right?" And I'm talking about my live event. And I was like,
mhm.
took a deep breath because he keeps doing this to me. And I'm like, well, what are we doing next? And then the next 3 words he said were "move to millions."
Ooh.
And I immediately felt chills all over my body. And I was like, well, what is it? What is "move to millions"? And then about 2 weeks later, he answered the question. So MOVE is an acronym that stands for mastery, operational obedience, vision, and execution to and beyond the $1 million mark. So the anointing on my life is for money. I have an incredible handle and ability to explain money in a way that helps, especially those of us, underrepresented, marginalized. We grew up in poverty and financial illiteracy, right?
Mhm.
Even when we came from a family that was blessed enough to have financial resource, it was still taboo. It wasn't talked about. You didn't really understand it. And as a result, as adults, we don't understand. We're meandering in mediocrity because we just don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm also called to entrepreneurs and small business. I love business. And so being able to help entrepreneurs and small business owners gain the mastery, become operationally obedient. What does that mean? Operating businesses according to their purpose and what
Mhm.
they've been called to do, and not is what's necessarily popular to do. Operating from and executing a vision every single day on this planet, right? We're all created with purpose, on purpose, for purpose. And so
Amen.
and galvanizing entrepreneurs and women of faith and Black women entrepreneurs in particular around this construct of millions, because most of us, we believe that millions are lots of money and we believe that they are out of reach. We don't believe we are worthy of them or that we deserve them. And guess what? If that's what we believe, we will never have them.
Yep.
And so being able to first and foremost help people to understand what it means to have a business that makes millions, what it looks like, and who we have to be as individuals in order to create space and capacity to have a business that generates at that level, not just for the Louis and the Gucci, but also for the legacy, right? To be
Mhm.
able to create wealth that is going to shift generational trajectories. And so That's the whole movement, Move to Millions. It has morphed into all the things. So I've got a book, which those of you who will watch the video will see in the background. I've got my own podcast, Move to Millions. I do a live event every May called Move to Millions. I have a planner that teaches you how to plan for your business 90 days at a time so that you can get to the $1 million mark, because I believe $1 million business is it's the floor, not the ceiling.
Mm,
And as women, when we look at the statistics, 0.5% of Black women actually make it to the $1 million mark. And of that 0.5% that make it, roughly 35% of them actually sustain it. So we lose a good portion of people. We lose 65%. They do it once,
oh,
they're a
wow.
one hit wonder. They don't know what to do next because they've been hustling and grinding instead of learning how to build their business with grace and ease. And so I created the Move to Millions method. It's our proven framework and methodology that we use with our clients to take them from 250 to 300,000 to the $1 million mark in 1 to 3 years. Every business is different, and the process that we take them through is different based on, their who, what, why, how, and for their specific business. And so we have clients every year who cross it in 1 year, in 2 years, or in 3 years. And we walk them through this framework so that they can learn how to build the systems and infrastructure that will support their business without them having to hustle and grind. Because
Mhm.
I don't believe in that. The first time I grew my business to the $1 million mark, I absolutely hated it because I created a monster that I was making a lot of money, but I could not enjoy it because I created for myself a very well-paying job and
Yep,
not the freedom and flexibility that most of us quit our good job
yep.
to experience. And so I was willing to give it all up so that I could figure out how to do it in a way that honored me, that honored God, and would allow me to teach it to other women so that they too could have businesses that serve them financially and spiritually without having to sacrifice their marriage, their kids, their health, and wellness in the process of getting to and beyond the $1 million mark.
Mhm. Oh, wow. And you guys, I'm gonna link down to Dr. Darnyelle's website so you'll be able to see all of the things that she just mentioned that she has. I'm particularly interested in the 90-day at a time workbook. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? So um how is it set up and what do we need before
Mhm.
purchasing that workbook or before diving into that workbook? What do we need on our end as a business owner, entrepreneur?
Yeah. I love this question. The biggest thing that you need is you need clarity around who you are, who you serve, the problem you solve, and the solution you provide. And it needs to be designed at a price point that gives you profit on the front end. Most people want to take their profit at the end of the year, right? If they're lucky. I
Mhm.
believe in profiting at the transaction level.
Yeah.
So from the moment someone enrolls in your program, or however you work, right? So our clients are primarily coaches, consultants, accountants, and attorneys. But any service based business, the way that our framework and methodology is set up, it will support you. If you sell products, there's some nuances to it because there's only so much you can charge for your lipstick if you happen
Yeah.
to be in cosmetics, right? So
Mhm.
then it becomes a volume play. And so some of the variables are going to be a little bit different. If you're clear about those things, and then the planner is going to help you to manage and plan for the activities that you will execute over the 90 days to achieve your goal. So for instance, in our Move to Millions mastermind, we meet with our clients every 90 days. So I have a retreat with them at the time of this recording in about a week. And at that retreat, we will plan for their three. So we planned for quarter two at their first quarter retreat. We're operating our businesses 1 quarter ahead. So they will plan what's going to be the strategy, what's going to be how they're going to bring on sales, what systems do they need to tighten or put in place, who do they need to have on their team. They're going to do all of that for 90 days from now, right? Starting in quarter three. So starting in July. We will also spend a little bit of time finessing and fine-tuning quarter two, April 1st, beginning April 1st. Our retreat is April 3rd through the 5th, again, at the
Mhm.
time of this recording. So by working proactively in their businesses a quarter ahead, they're basically figuring out what their strategy is going to be. Because typically, if you're going to launch something, you've got to build your assets. So they're giving themselves 90 days to build the assets for what they're going to be launching in July. It's the
Mhm.
same as retail. If you go into a retail store right now, you're going to see summer clothes already. And it's
Yep.
still, depending upon where you live, it's still cold outside.
Mhm.
Right? But you're going to be a season ahead if you look at retail. So similarly in our businesses, we've got to be at least 90 days ahead. So by doing that, what you do is you're always operating from your vision point and not your vantage point. You're always thinking about what's coming next, which helps you to back into the steps you need to take today in order to execute that in 90 days. And so going through that process with them, to help walking them through 90-day sprints of what it looks like inside of their business, it also gives them this it allows them to have the stamina to make it through 90 days. And then when they need their next burst, guess what? We're coming back together for another retreat. So
Mhm.
we do that on purpose because when you look at the big, arduous, hairy, audacious goal, you're like, there's no way in the world I can hit the $1 million mark. Well, because you're making it really, really big,
Mhm.
right? But if you break that thing into $250,000 chunks, it's way easier to
Yeah.
process how you're going to get there. And so that's what the planner helps you do. And so it's a great companion for people who are either A, not ready to work with me, um, or B, um, you just want to learn how to plan for your business in the best possible way. And so we create it where it tracks your key performance indicators every single week. You're looking at the same things because once you figure out who you are, who you serve, how you serve them, and how much it costs for them to work with you, business is really boring. You do the same things over and over and over again. Once you figure out your proven predictable formula to produce the specific result, you're doing the same thing every over and over and over again. We have very few new things that we launch. We continue to do the same things because they work. And
Mhm.
so it just helps to keep you focused and to give you the stamina that you need in order to produce what's next for your business.
I need that planner. I need it right now. Okay. I definitely do. I think like especially like from my perspective and a lot of my audience they are at the jumping off point of doing
Mhm.
something different in their lives or moving into a new season in their lives. And I think it's just so daunting, especially when you are a team of one, even in a service
Mhm.
based business, because I consult a little bit, but I shied away from it because I got too much demand and it's just me and I didn't know what I was doing. So
Yeah.
I guess like what could you say to anyone in that position where it's like, "Oh no, I'm getting too much um I'm getting too many people reaching out to me or too many people who want what I have, but I'm just me and I think it's too big too soon."
Yeah. There's no such thing. I think about, I mean, and as Black girls, I know most of us are women of faith, right?
Yeah.
And we serve a big God. And if it's
Oh,
coming to you, it's because you
amen.
can handle it. And we need to serve big, but we also need to be ready to receive big. And so there's no such thing as too big, too fast, right? If Ephesians 3:20 says that you will do exceeding and abundant above all you could ever ask of, think, or imagine, according to the power that is at work within you, as soon as you imagine it, it has the ability to become exceeding and abundant. So it can happen that fast. God moves quick. He does a quick work when everything is lined up, when we're in
Mhm.
alignment. And so if that is you, first, I want you to take a deep breath and I want you to find the gratitude in the fact that what you do is so desirable that more people than you personally can handle desire it. That's something to be grateful for. That's such a great
Yes.
problem to have. And then you have a couple of different options, right? You can, number one, create a wait list. You can have people pay a deposit to lock in their price, and you will be able to start their project in whatever time frame, especially if it's done for you work, right? If you're training, coaching, teaching, then you can create a group program and you can get leverage by serving multiple people at one time. And then the second thing that you can do is, if worst case scenario, look at some of the clients that you've worked with that have gotten success following the process and the framework that you have assigned and see if they're looking for some freelance work. And you can have them start working with you to help you to get through the volume that you have right now so that you don't have to turn clients away. So, and you're training someone who's already familiar with your work in order to be able to help you to meet the demand that exists out there. But I would not just turn people away.
Mhm. I love that. As far as like creating a wait list and a deposit and things like that, um, what do you have to say about people who don't know their worth, who are undercharging because they feel uncomfortable with charging what they're worth for their product or service?
Yeah. So first, just as a point of distinction, we're not talking about your individual worth,
Right.
right? You are priceless. We are priceless. We're talking about the value associated with the product or service that you offer to the marketplace. And it's important to make that distinction. Most of us were raised in families where we were taught that our worth was tied to what we earned. And that's why we have the problem now.
Hmm.
So I want to separate the two because we're not you are God's most prized possession. I mean his most prized creation. When he created you, he literally broke the mold. There is no other you unless you happen to be an identical twin, and even then they're not exactly you
Right.
on the planet, right? You are to not be duplicated. You are not a commodity. You are valuable. There is worth in you from the moment you were pulled out or pushed out of the womb. There was value in you. So we're not talking about your worth. Although I know that many that are raised in church religiously do struggle with worth because the function of religion in a lot of ways, first Christianity was created in the image of Catholicism, and Catholicism says you are more holy when you are poor. So there's that,
Yeah.
right? And then you also are dealing with the fear that religion creates so that we can control
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
And being a Black person in the United States, the religion that we were allowed to have was the one that made it okay for us to be in captivity. And most
Yeah.
of us are still regurgitating that version of the Bible. That's
Yeah.
probably a whole nother show for a whole nother day.
Right.
So, what I say and what I suggest is that you understand what it costs for you to perform the service and charge more than that. That's how we get ahead. So, whenever I'm having a conversation with people about pricing, I share this formula. You want to figure out your direct cost. Now, in case you don't know what I mean when I say that, a direct cost is a cost that is directly associated with the service you are going to provide. For instance, if I am selling you a planner, that's my product. The cost of having the planner designed and printed and shipped to you, those are my direct costs. Then you're going to look at your general and administrative costs. These are typically the costs that are associated with the people who support you in the process of providing that product or service. So, if I have an assistant who packs up your planner and takes it to the post office, what I pay her to do that for you is my general and administrative costs.
Hmm.
Then we're going to add to that your overhead. Now, overhead are the costs that you have that are fixed that you have to pay no matter what. So if I'm not operating in my home and I have a warehouse that I'm putting these planners together in, I have to pay the rent on my warehouse no matter what. I have to pay my internet service provider no matter what. I have to pay my business license and my business insurance no matter what. That's overhead. So once you know what the overhead of your business is, and you take a portion of that and you add that into every sale. Then when it's an active service, you want to also account for your time, right? We all only have 24 hours, right? We're not getting any more time. So anytime we spend in active pursuit of solving a problem and providing a service is time we cannot be spending anywhere else to make money. So we have to charge a premium for our time. Now, this
Hmm.
goes against what most of us were taught to believe in, even being an employee,
Yeah.
because most of us took a job in wherever we worked, the school system, corporate America, etc., the hospital, and we took the job being paid what they said the position was worth, even if we felt like we should earn more. And most of us don't speak up for ourselves, so we don't negotiate our salaries. When
Hmm.
I first started in corporate America back in 1997, I took a job right out of college that paid me $19,041 a year. I didn't know this at the time, but approximately a year or so later, I'm having lunch with my colleagues all started in entry level customer service, just like me. The guy sitting right across to me, he made $24,000. The
Oh.
girl sitting next to him made $26,000 because they knew that they should negotiate. Now,
Mhm.
neither of these people look like me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And not to make it a race thing, but by and large in our community, we don't have access to the information that we need to change our
Mhm.
financial situation. And so for 2 years in that position, I was making on average $6,000 to $8,000 less than the people sitting on either side of me because I didn't know any better.
Mhm.
And I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul and doing all the things, having to have a side hustle because I didn't have my ends were not meeting. I had
Yeah.
more month than I had money because
Mhm.
I didn't know any better. So we bring that into entrepreneurship and we start charging by the hour. But entrepreneurs don't get paid for their time, they get paid for the result that they produce.
Mhm.
So, this is why it's important to look at the formula and get clear about your direct costs, your general administrative costs, your overhead, the active time that you are spending in pursuit of that, and the percentage of profit you want to have over and above that. So when we sell a lipstick or this ink pen has a wholesale price and it has a retail price.
Mhm.
Retail is typically 50% more than wholesale. Well, guess what? The average service based business provider doesn't add 50 or 60% profit to the price of their service. They charge what it costs. Well, that's why we're undercharging. And that's why we're not growing businesses that make
Yeah.
millions because we're not adding profit on the front end. We're hoping that there'll be something left over, taking the scraps like our people have done for years because we think that's okay and that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Right. I just got well, like 2 years ago, I got my first salary job and I didn't know any of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And
Yeah.
I talked to all my friends because they're all in corporate America. I'm not. I was a freelancer and they switched everyone over to salary and I was like, I'm going to quit because I don't know anything about this, all of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I was like, let me just ask. Let me just ask my friends. And I think that's so powerful as well. Even if you don't know anything, start with people that you are connected to, network across with people
Mm-hmm.
that you know. Hey, I know this person has this thing. Let me ask them a question. What I've realized, especially living out in Los Angeles and being a full time creative now, is people are so willing to share their knowledge. And most of the time, what's
They
stopping
are.
us from asking is our own fear. It's
Yeah,
not that they're, too far away from us or whatever the case may be. We just need to ask and we just need to seek out that information.
absolutely. And we have not because we ask not.
Right.
As
Right.
the saying goes, a closed mouth doesn't get
Don't get
fed.
fed.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, with all of that, could you give us a couple of tidbits of the actual mindset shifts that will up our game? Like, what bits
Yeah.
of information can the audience leave with on that?
Yeah. So, the first few that are just kind of popping into my head that are paradigm shift worthy. Number one, you are in a relationship with money.
Hmm.
You might not even realize you're in a relationship with money, and or your relationship with money might be a thin line between love and hate
Come on.
instead of on and popping, right?
Right.
So because you're in a relationship with money, you have to relate to money and think about a physical relationship with, the guy of your dreams. If you go without talking to him on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, is he still going to be your man?
No.
Probably not. Right. So if you're not talking to your money, you're not spending time with it, you're not looking at it, you're not learning about how to multiply it. Do you think that it's going to be excited to be in a relationship with you?
Mm-mm.
Probably not. Right. So something as simple as that. Right. I believe that what you focus on expands.
Yeah.
Right. I remember I used to be in Mary Kay Cosmetics, and I remember Mary Kay Ash, whom I never met. They used to have these recordings that they would play when you would call headquarters. And one time I was listening to the recording and she said, focus on what you want to expand. I've never met a woman who wanted a bigger toilet. So don't focus on that. Meaning, go get a housekeeper. Stop cleaning. You don't need to clean your bathroom. That's
Yeah.
not the best use of your time. You focus on your business because you want your business to expand, right? You focus on your family because you want your family to continue to grow and love and support of one another. But because we are all in a relationship, we also have to debunk the money blocks and the money
Yeah.
beliefs that we hold that are messing with our money. Some of us believe you have to work hard for money, and we
Yeah.
got it honest because that's what we heard our family say. I know my dad said it at least 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Money doesn't grow on a tree out back. What do you think this is? You got to work hard for money.
Yeah.
Right. If I ever wanted money, there was something I had to do to get it. Now I get the philosophy of teaching me that I have to be willing to take action to get the things that I desire, but teaching me that I had to work hard for it. Now, in the United States, the backbone of our society is hard work,
Yeah.
right? It's a badge of honor. Like you do something really good, and you know what people say, you worked so hard. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about not working hard, it makes you feel bad that
Yeah.
something is wrong with you because you did something and you didn't work hard. Well, think about how that impacts your money. That's just one belief and example. Another thing that pops in is money flows away from those who feel there is a shortage of it. So when you say things like, I can't afford it, or
Mm-hmm.
that's not in my budget, money flows away from you. Money is currency for a reason. It's always moving, it's always flowing, it never stops unless we do something that stops it. And that's an example of it. And the thing that I love least about people who say I can't afford it is because we all have things that we technically can't afford.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yep.
Somebody right now is carrying the $9,000 Louis Vuitton bag and don't have $50 in it.
Yep.
Right? We all have things that we can't afford. And everything that we have that we could not afford, we figured out how to
How to,
afford it.
yep. Exactly.
Right? So when it comes to things that will actually add value to us, we all of a sudden get amnesia on the possibility of figuring out a way to be able to access it. Like we don't believe that we should invest in ourselves. Now, some of
Mm-hmm.
that we got honest, it is cultural, right? We were
Yeah.
not taught about the power of investing in ourselves, or the only investment we should make is going to college,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I know a lot of people who went to college that are not using the degree that they have, never did, never would, but
Right.
they went, they got this 4-year degree and the 4 years of student loans to
Right.
show for it. And it's not adding any value to their life. And so we have to undo the patterns and the beliefs, the things that we were taught and the things that we caught from our families that impact the way we see money. We literally come here as a sponge, a blank slate, and everything we learn about everything, money, fear, lack, all discipline, hard work, all of that is taught to us by our families.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it good, some of it not so good. And so we have to learn how to rightfully divide. And we have to learn how to figure out what is true and what is the truth, because there's a difference,
Oof.
right? Everybody has a truth, but that doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
And so we have to go through some things often to be able to figure out what those things are. And when it comes specifically to money, that's something that we need to learn. Another money belief that I think that we all need to constantly work on is recognizing that money will move faster when you get into alignment than it will when you effort. And that's,
Ooh.
again, it goes back to the whole, you got to work hard for money, but it is not actually effort that gives you more money. It's
Yeah.
actually believing that you are worthy and deserving of it.
Yeah.
So if I can get you to raise your deserve level, then more money will flow into your life experience, because you'll cease to see money as something that's against you and start to see money as the tool that it is. Money is nothing but a tool. It's not a
Yeah.
measuring stick. It's not an indication of your worth and value. It's not indicative of how successful you're going to be. It's not. It is merely a tool, a transactional energy that allows you to access things, period. And so because most of us, depending upon how we were raised, right? If you were raised poor, you're probably taught that money is for paying bills.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the only thing you're going to do with it is pay bills. And you feel guilty when you want an indulgence for yourself because that's taking away from the bill. That, I believe, that's where the whole rob Peter to pay Paul came in. If you were raised middle class, then you were probably taught that money is to pay your bills on time so that you can get access to credit and extend the value of your money, right? So you can live beneath or beyond your means. That's
Mhm.
typically what you're taught if you're middle class. And if you happen to have been raised wealthy around parents that wanted to make sure you understood what wealth was, then you probably learned that money, or the rich, wealthy people see money as a way to create more money.
Yeah.
So the money that you have multiplies by investing it into something that creates more money. Totally different constructs. Money is for paying bills versus money is for multiplying to create more money. It's a different dynamic. And those who understand what wealth is and how to acquire wealth are the ones who are winning right now, because they're not efforting it just to pay their bills. They're living their best lives and they have some left over to tell the story.
Wow. Wow. You're so right. How was I raised? I would say I was raised poor, probably. I'm from a very, very tiny town in Louisiana, St. Francisville, Louisiana. And yeah, money is for bills. I do think, or I'm excited to know that my mom and dad specifically
Mhm.
were very encouraging for me and my brother to explore financial options and things. So
Oh, good.
in high school and middle school, I used to sell po' boys. I sold Oreo balls. I started my first business, and it actually gave me a scholarship to get me through college. I went to college on a
Nice.
full ride and all of these things. And when I went to school for theater, it was or when I was going to school, about to go to
Mhm.
college for theater, that's when I realized that my my immediate household was different from the rest of my family in terms of mindset,
Mhm.
financially. The first thing out of everybody on my daddy's side of the family's mouth was, "You going to school to do what? To be an actress?
Mm.
Why don't you go and be a lawyer like your mama so you can make some money?" And
Mm.
I had never heard anything like that, and it really made me take a step back and be like, "Whoa, am I about to be broke for the rest of my life? Or wait, where is this coming from?" Because if I would have never heard any of that, I'm gung ho for doing this because my parents are
Yeah.
just, just so encouraging, and they were always supportive of it, taking me to acting classes and all this stuff my entire life. And it really just opened my eyes to say, wow, we really, there are so many different relationships with money and what money
Yeah.
can do for you. And that made me want to dive even deeper into my relationship with money, because I do think that I have a more secure relationship or
Mhm.
attachment to money. And I think that
Yeah.
uh, that has gotten me to where I am today.
Yeah. Yeah, and even that, like, relationship with money, not necessarily attachment to it, right?
Hmm.
Because you have to be detached from any and all outcomes. So
Yeah.
for instance, if you're like, I just need $10,000. If I could just get $10,000. Well, why limit yourself to 10,000? Because the energy you would expend to make 10,000 is the same energy you'd expend to make 100,000.
Hmm.
So the attachment to it being 10,000 prevents you from actually getting
Mm,
way more than that, which is a limiting belief.
yeah.
So knowing how money moves, knowing how you relate to it is amazing and it's so important, but then detach from the outcome of it.
Yeah.
Just decide that whatever is supposed to come in, I'm open to it. I have the capacity for it. I've created the purpose that money needs to flow into my life experience, and open yourself up to being ready to allow it to flow in. Right? I
Hmm.
literally create capacity. So I don't have room in my life for fear, for doubt, for gossip or anything negative, because I don't need it taking up space in my body. I don't
Yeah.
need it taking up capacity. I need my capacity to be open for money to flow in.
Yeah.
So I spend my time constantly evaluating my vessel and making sure that I am showing up and I'm acting in accordance to what it is that I desire for my life.
Hmm.
That's why these affirmations are so important, right? They may just start out as things that you say that sound cute, but eventually, if you keep saying them every single day, even when you don't believe it yet, it's going to seep into your spirit. And before you
Yes, it
know it, it's
will.
going to be normal in your life and you will see the evidence of it. I keep this box on my dresser in my bedroom And this past weekend, I was looking for something and I thought maybe it might be in there. And so I opened the box up and I have all these goal cards, which are basically I am statements that I wrote. And so I write, I am so happy and grateful now that I write it in positive present tense as if it's currently in my life because you have to be it to become it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm flipping through these cards because now I'm in the box and I opened up the cards. I don't even know. I didn't put a date on them. I said I was going to start putting a date so I could be like, oh, I
Yeah.
said that back and when, and that
Yeah.
actually came through. Do you know, Tyra, that of the 15 that were in there, at least 10 of them have happened?
Oh, wow.
At
That's
least 10 because
amazing.
I said it, I wrote it
Yeah.
down, I said it out loud, and then I detached from it. So it's like,
Yeah.
God, any way you want to
Yeah.
bless me. It doesn't have to come the way I think it should come because I
Mhm.
don't know everything. It
Yeah.
just needs to come. That's the detachment.
Yeah.
So this is what I know money to be. This is how worthy I know that I am as it pertains to money. This is what I'm going to do to give God something to bless. And then I'm going to release any expectation and allow him to do more if that's what he desires.
Yes. Yes. Write it down and make it plain, okay?
Yes. Absolutely.
Let's jump into the topic you want to discuss. Disruption is the new confidence. So,
Mhm.
tell me about that. Disruption is the new confidence. What kind of disruption? Like, what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah. So when you are meandering through life, when you are in the humdrum and the habitual nature of doing the same thing day in and day out, you are not actually living towards purpose. And so
Yeah.
when disruption comes in, it shakes you up and it reminds you, it reinvigorates you for what it is that you're doing. And so, disruption, as an example, COVID-19 was a disruption.
Yes.
Right? We were all minding our own business, doing life the way we were doing life. Then this international pandemic happens
Yeah.
for us. Now, if we trace history in the 20th year of every century, we've had something, whether it was the
Mhm.
Spanish flu
Yeah.
or, whatever, typhoid fever. There's always been some pandemic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't new, but it was new to us and it
Mhm.
disrupted the way we do everything, right? The reason why you and I can be meeting on Zoom now is because Zoom it saw the need to be able to bring people together when they were sheltering apart.
Mhm.
Right now, Zoom was technically already here
Yeah.
prior to that, but it blew up and more
Yep.
people found out about it because it was a way in order to interrupt the disruption to create something new. So when we understand that the patterns that we're living, and so we could talk about money, we can talk about fear, we can talk about any area, any limiting belief in our life. That limiting belief is a pattern that was created based on what we were taught and what we caught as children. Today you are living the reality of what you learned as a child.
Mhm.
And many of us don't even realize the reality that we're living. I always tell this story when I'm speaking. There's a little girl who's watching her mom make a ham. Mom takes the ham out of the package, cleans the ham, cuts the butt off the ham, puts the ham in the pot, puts the pot in the oven. Little girl's inquisitive. She's like, Mom, why'd you just cut the butt off the ham and put the ham in the pot? Mom says, I actually don't know. Ask your grandma because that's the way she made the ham. Little girl calls grandma and says, Grandma, mom's making a ham. She just cleaned the ham, cut the butt off the ham, put the ham in the pan, put it in the oven. Why did she do that? Grandma says, I don't know why your mom is doing it, but back in the day, my pan wasn't big enough to hold the whole ham. So I had to cut the butt off in order to cook it. So we're doing things. We are literally falling asleep at the wheel through life, right? Our
Yeah.
subconscious mind takes everything we present to it as if it's the truth. Every single Black girl listening right now has gotten in their car in one place, started it, started it, depending upon how old your car
Yeah.
is. And the next thing they remember, they're on their street, they're in their driveway, they're in their garage, and they don't remember the drive home
Yeah. How did I get
because your
here?
subconscious mind drove you because it
Yep.
does it all the time.
Yeah.
That's the habit, the pattern. Disruption helps to reinvigorate and re-excite and create a new environment for success, a new way to do things, right? The reason why we have innovation in technology is because people got tired of the humdrum.
Mhm.
and they
Yep.
wanted to find a new way to build a better mousetrap. So having the skill of disruption or seeing the things that happen in life that are polarizing as an opportunity to evaluate how you can learn from this is a great way to continue to see success happening inside of your life experience.
Hmm. And that's what I was going to ask you, but you kind of touched on it just now. So we should be going out and looking for disruption in various ways to
Yeah.
switch it up.
Where
Yeah.
where you feel stuck and stagnant,
Yep.
you should be looking for disruption. And not necessarily that because there's anything wrong, but stagnant energy is not good. It needs
Hmm.
to be flowing,
Yeah.
right? So it's like if your heater is stuck on 85 degrees and it's 90 degrees outside, it's going to be suffocating in your home.
Hmm.
So if you aren't able to move that thermostat to get a flow of cool air in, it's going to cause a problem. Well, the
Yeah.
same thing happens in our life, in the patterns and the habits that we live every single day. If we keep doing the same thing, we're asleep at the wheel. And
Yeah.
you'll wake up and one day you'll be like, I cannot believe I'm insert number of years old and I'm doing the same thing in the same way. I've never experienced or lived life, right? I turned 48 in November on my birthday, and I'm telling everyone I feel like I heard a click, and I feel like the click was like a gunshot, like it was a disruption. It woke me up.
Hmm.
I have no idea how much time I have left on this earth, but what I
Right.
do know is that with the time I do have left, I want it to matter, and I want to live full and die empty. I think about that
Yes.
Irma Bombeck quote. When I stand before God at the end of my life, I hope not to have a single bit of talent left, saying I used everything you gave me. And
Yes.
so I'm being more purposeful about the decisions that I make and the things that I do. If there is a trip I want to take, I'm taking it because I have no idea. So I'm disrupting my own comfort level of being home and on my, my comfy couch in front of my fireplace. And I'm seeing the world
Yeah.
because I have no idea how much time I have left. And what I don't want when I'm in those final moments, days, etc., is regrets because I didn't live,
Hmm.
because I didn't try. I didn't see if I had what it took to do whatever that thing is that was on my vision board. And so I think, it's just important to look for the stagnation and see how you can disrupt the pattern that is creating it because it's going to bring you a reality that you'll probably get excited about.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, goodness. We could literally talk for like hours.
We
Okay.
could. We so
Um,
could.
right. Okay, last question. My last question is, what would you leave listeners with after all of this that we've talked about today? What's like one thing that you want them to make sure that they've drilled into their hearts and minds?
Yeah. Don't just be hearers, and this is Bible. Don't just be hearers of what I've shared with you. Don't just in the moment say, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." Find a way to integrate it into your life. Like we only get one life and we get to live this life in accordance to the purpose that was placed on us since we were formed in our mother's womb. But even in that purpose, there are many of us who are not living in purpose. We're hiding from purpose. And so figure out what small incremental steps you can begin to take towards what you truly desire to be in your life experience. I imagine that the Black girls who listen to this show, they vary in age, right? You
Mm-hmm.
probably have some young intenders, just like you have some more seasoned,
Yeah.
um, and everything in between. You get to decide and you get to define, and there are no limits except for the ones you impose upon yourself. I believe that if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. But if you
Mm.
don't want your limitations, take a different action, make a different choice, make a different decision, and move consistently in the direction of that decision so that you can bring what it is that you desire into your life experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think the one thing that I am going to implement now, because this was confirmation for me this morning when I was journaling and reflecting, I wrote down the word stuck. I was feeling stuck in my routine. I need a disruption.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's definitely the thing for me that I'm about to implement today
Hmm.
into my life. So
I love that.
Uh-oh, you guys, you know what time it is. It is time for our fun closing segment. And today, Dr. Darnyelle and I are going to be doing reading, watching, eating, doing. So this is where you just tell us what you've been reading, what you've been watching, what you've been eating, and what you've been doing. So,
Okay.
Dr. Darnyelle, what have you been reading lately?
So right now I'm reading two books. I'm reading The Art of the Impossible by
Ooh.
Stephen Kotler. It's a really good book about neuroscience and peak performance
Mm-hmm.
and just really understanding the way that the brain works.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always in my word, so I'm always reading the Bible. And right now I'm in the book of John. So I typically go back and forth between Old Testament and New Testament. I just
Mm-hmm.
finished Deuteronomy, and now I'm in the book of John.
Awesome. Okay, I guess I'll go. I'll go then. So we'll just do them both and then we'll go. Okay. So right
Okay.
now I'm reading and I'm in the audiobooks, honestly.
Okay.
I right now I am reading The 2 Hour Cocktail Party. I don't remember who wrote it, but it's
Okay.
all about the art of throwing parties and the science behind getting a small intimate group together. Very,
Okay.
very quick read. And yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. I honestly,
Okay.
I'm trying to read more. I really am. But I did just finish Set Boundaries, Find Peace, which was good by
Okay.
Nijim
Nice.
Swab. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Watching. What are you
Watching.
watching?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't watch a tremendous amount of TV, but right now my
Hmm.
husband and I are watching the Chicago Fire. We started watching it from the very beginning. I happened to be with my mom in the hospital and they had like a marathon on that day. And so I
Oh,
started
wow.
watching it. And then I was like, I feel like I need to watch this from the beginning so I
Yeah.
can understand what's going on now. So then we went all the way back to the beginning. I think there are like 11 seasons so far. It's still on
Oh,
TV right now.
wow.
We're in season 7. So
Yeah. How many
so
episodes
once
per
a week,
season?
like 2022, something like
Okay.
that. So yeah, so like once a week we sit down in front of the fireplace and we just binge on Chicago Fire.
I love that. I haven't watched the Chicago Fire. Um, but everybody says that it's good. They really,
It
really
is
do. It's
really
like
good.
Chicago Fire, like Grey's Anatomy and all of those types of
Hmm.
shows. I don't watch a lot of TV either. I'm actually not watching anything right now. I'm trying to think of the last thing
Okay.
I watched. Uh Now see, I should have had my stuff ready to go because I have the outline.
Because you knew
I
this question was going to be asked,
I
Tyra.
knew it was gonna be asked, and I still don't even know. I just started this show last night. I'm only on episode 2 called Three Bodies. It's on Netflix. It's number one on
Okay, I
Netflix right
saw
now.
that. I haven't clicked on it, but
Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've only gotten through episode 1 and a little bit of episode 2, but it looks very interesting, and anything that's, like, on the top 10 on Netflix, I try to give it a chance, and I normally end up liking it.
Yeah.
What are you eating right now? What are you loving? What type of food are you loving right now?
I primarily eat pescatarian.
Okay.
So last night I made these crab cakes. They're so
Ooh.
good. Yeah.
Ooh. What kind of crab did you use? Dungeness? Did you use snow crab? Did you use king crab? What did you use?
um, well, it was jumbo crab meat. So with the
Ooh.
Phillips, I get it at Costco's, this
Okay.
big
Mhm.
jar of lump crab meat that I use. Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds so good. I've been loving crab lately. King crab specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But lately I have been eating a lot of Korean barbecue. I go to Korean
Oh,
barbecue like
nice.
once a week. It has me in a
Mm-hmm.
chokehold like no other because I'm in LA, so I go to Koreatown, so it's so good. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love making my own food on the little grill and everything, the sauces,
Mm-hmm.
everything. So, so, so good.
Nice.
And what are you doing these days? Activities, hobbies? What are you loving?
Um, I mean, I get on the treadmill every day. Right now, I'm in
Come on.
my busy season. We have my live event in May.
Mhm.
So all of my extra time, I'm working on elements of the live event experience.
Mhm.
I'm doing a lot of traveling. I'm doing a lot of podcasts. I am, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yes, working. I love it. I love it. Um, you have a so the treadmill, how many miles you be doing? Or like I know the
Well,
girls
I
are
do
having like
30
the
minutes. So I
okay.
think my 30 minutes gets me about a mile and a half to 2 miles, depending upon how fast I walk.
Okay. Do you have the full treadmill or do you have the one that everybody has now where it's just like the bottom
No,
part
full
and they put okay.
yeah, no, full treadmill,
I would be
yeah.
so scared to have the one that just go like under
Yeah, I
your
don't know
desk.
how they do that, but and the thing is when I'm working, I don't wanna be walking on the treadmill,
Yeah.
like, I don't wanna do both of those things at the
Yeah.
same time. I can't concentrate and take notes
Yeah.
or type while I'm walking. I can't do that. I'm not that coordinated.
Okay,
So
and then when I be concentrating, I get a little sweat right here, and I'm not trying to be sweating while I'm work I just that's just not
Right,
for me.
exactly.
What am I doing right now? Um, I box 6 days a
Oh,
week.
nice.
I'm a boxing girl. But I since it's getting warm outside, I really wanna take up tennis and golf. So
Oh,
I
nice,
really
okay.
yeah, so I've been doing a little research on, like, classes and stuff, but last weekend, one of my friends and I actually went to, like, the community park and we played tennis, and I'm like, "Okay, for the summer, I wanna do, like, tennis and golf." So that's what I've been doing.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. Those are great exercises to keep your cardio up and to
Oh,
keep you,
yes.
nice and everything moving the way that it's supposed to. That's why I get on the treadmill every day for 30 minutes because it's
Yes.
like it just makes sure I'm moving my body. Nothing is getting stale and stagnant and,
Okay?
everything is working.
Everything. Okay? Well, this was so fun, Darnyelle. I had a great
This
time.
was fun.
Yeah, I had a great time. We could literally talk about this all day. I had so many questions, but I was like, let me just hone in and let's get through it. But I had an amazing time. I really, really did. Thank you so much for
Me too.
joining.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been phenomenal.
And that is all I have for you today. I hope y'all are feeling inspired and ready to take on the world. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Check out Dr. Darnyelle's book, Move to Millions, The Proven Framework to Become $1 Million CEO with Grace and Ease Instead of Hustle and Grind. Available wherever books are sold. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review if you're feeling the love. And see you all again next week. This is Affirmations for Black Girls.